All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Welcome everybody to Movie Understandings. With Master Minion Lick, aka Master Antonio, and it's just me, Aki Low, what I'm talking about. And we getting into Yola in April with all the feels and whatnot.
All the
you know,
decent.
all the feels.
Yeah, man. This one, I can't lie. Like, my eyes were sweating. The first time I watched this one.
Bruh,
Yeah,
you got look me. I'm like, hey, well, I got punched myself. Like, yo, hey, what we doing here? What we doing? We not today, not today. But it's just like it just.
yeah,
I don't care, not today. But
yeah,
man up.
yeah. But that should be the tagline of the show. Man up.
No, right? She's like, you man up to that one, But you do, man. There's just some shows that really do tug on your string, your feel string, and you just like, you know. I'm like, man, I got a mama or something. I got a dad. I feel bad,
Yeah,
So, but yeah, like this one, yeah, for sure.
but that's actually one of the genius parts of the show, because the storytelling is so good that every word has meaning. But they do this thing I like that the writers did, where they would say something and then the context would change a little bit, and they would say the exact same line, but the meaning would be slightly different just because time passed. And that's like one of the themes of this show, right? History and the fact that time passes on, you know um, and time affects everyone in the show differently. But at the same time, it's like they were in this season. You know, it wasn't like days passing or anything like that. They were moving through a season, and you see later in the show. But when the question of the future, whenever the question of the future comes up, it's like I only want to think about the immediate future. I don't want to think long term, because I'm in this season now. And I want to bask in the season because it's so full of experiences that I don't want to move beyond. You know how it is when you're in middle school and high school and things like that. But there's this season in your life where you can only see things inside of a bubble. But at the same time, you know that the future is going to come, and what you're experiencing now is going to be a distant memory. And you don't know how many of the elements from the present is going to remain, you know, in that distant future. So it's really interesting. You know, Usually we start at the beginning, but this show has so much in it. you know, it's very it can be
Yeah,
very abstract. Yeah, man. Yeah, it can be very abstract, and it's set up in a way to where you pull whatever you need to pull from it to get to where you need to go. That's how the writer put it together. Like, if you're in a relationship, you got that, but it's not just about the relationship; it's context as well, and you can see that later on with Subaki and her senior, who she winds up dating. Um, the context wasn't there. The feelings were there historically, but context wasn't there. But we,
wasting his time.
yeah, wasting his time, and he knew he was wasting his time too. I blame him. He should have been like, listen, just go, what I mean? Just get out of here, hit the road.
I
Um,
know, right?
but one of the major things that I really liked and wanted to focus on was also the concept of PTSD and the way that it's portrayed in the show. I thought it was really well done, and anyone with any form of mental illness or a history of trauma, they can relate to it. I watched it when I used to deal with anxiety, a lot of anxiety attacks and stuff like that. It's like that's it right there. That's how it feels, and it's it's very I don't want to say confirming, but it was like validating to see someone um, put it on put it on a screen in front of me and show me like, yeah, you experienced this. It was real validating, and it helped me to process it a lot better, because it also helps, like you can see with Arima. um it really helped him to look around and realize, oh, there are other people here and they are scared too. um but I don't know, I'll let you like do the intro for the show before I get too deep into it.
Oh yeah, no problem. Well, peace to everybody. Peace, Chief. Peace. Sister Yaya. My name is Precious. Sovereign East. DJ Shmoney. But peace to everybody in chat. Like Sister Yaya done said. Like, share. And comment. You know what I'm talking about. And well, like I said, we doing your live in April for those that came in. Chief said he watched the live action. I have not seen the live action. I knew it existed, but I didn't see it. You know
I
what I'm talking about? But
I love the chat. Yeah, peace everyone. By the way, peace, peace, peace.
yeah. So I mean, well, to start it off, I mean, we're talking about you know um a guy. I'm so used to saying last names when it comes to Kyosei. Yeah, his name's Kyosei, but Kyosei Arima. But usually they go by surname. So you usually hear a lot of Arima. And so um, he's a pianist. Um, and he grew up, being a pianist, but he stopped because of, well, one, because his mom died. Two, he was abused. He was abused as a child, and like uh, Master Antonio or Master Mignolet was saying, um, he suffers from that PTSD. Whereas when he plays, there's going to come a point where he can't hear the notes. He can't. And then he ceases to function because he can't hear the notes anymore. You know, um, like if you've seen the TV show, it or the anime, all you hear is all he basically hears when he gets into that mode is tapping. He can't hear the notes anymore, so all he hears is tap 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 tap, not the actual keys on the piano. You know what I'm talking about? And you know, by talking about his PTSD, you know what I'm saying? It just seems like this is in the anime it's handled great, good, and wonderful. But the fact is, like I brought up yesterday, it seemed like nobody understood what he was going through, or just wrote it off. Like, you know, nobody, even his friend, Tsubaki, you know, she was there for it, but she doesn't put two and two together, and it's like, oh, you're being abused by your mom. It doesn't really come to a head until his mom actually abuses him in front of at the concert hall in front of all these kids, and their parents are like, should we get somebody for this? Right? And things like that. But it's been going on, and nobody really says he's abused, and nobody, and he goes to play, but nobody says he's like that because he's been abused, and he suffers from this PTSD, this traumatic things that's happened to him, all because he wanted to play the piano to basically please his mom or make her happy because she was sick and basically dying and whatnot, and it ended bad and he was abused. I can't go, like you said, I can't go outside the place. I got to practice the piano, and then they was like, and then one of the kids puts it together. It's like, oh, so that's why he was always wearing long sleeves, because he got to hide up his bruises, So yeah, usually when we look at domestic abuse, we never look at child abuse as that domestic abuse, I would say, or that domestic violence. But yeah, um, that plays a key factor in it, and you see it in this anime. You know what I'm talking about? So, hold on. Sovereignty say,
Yeah, I
didn't
just
it?
saw that comment too.
Yeah. Didn't the death of his mother initiate that selective auditory experience with him? I would say yeah, but I think that and the abuse as well. You know, I think the death of his mother was the actual trigger though, but um the whole abuse that's where it springs from, if you ask me. But go ahead, Master Me.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's also the aspect of guilt because he finally stood up to his mother in that moment when he was abused in public. And I saw that comment from Sister Sam the Joy, who didn't get licks in public. Um, but yeah. It came from guilt because he finally stood up to his mother. He threw the sheet music when she hit him, and she hit him hard enough to draw blood. Cracked his glasses and everything. And
With a
he,
cane, mind you. She hit
yeah,
him with a cane. It wasn't no
yeah,
switch. It wasn't no stitcher cord. It was a
yeah.
cane.
Those mothers who hit you with the first thing their hand finds. She'll throw a lamp at him if she could.
Exactly. She not only that, she was sitting in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but oh yeah, Hemo Precious. We got that too. We got sent to get um, grab something. It's like go grab whatever you're gonna get beaten with. Or with one thing my mother did, like shouldn't talk about business. She sent my brother to get something to beat me with, and he was the worst person to send. We was cool, but he took it to the extreme. Like he brought this metal belt that had like a bunch of it was formed into a bunch of horses connected by rings. And I was like, she actually chuckles. He's like, no, get me something else. So he got a lion belt, which is like those thick leather belts. Yeah, that's what I got. And as I'm crying myself to sleep, he's like, we're still friends, right? We still friends.
Bro.
Yeah. In that instance, Koza got hit. He stood up to his mother finally. Like he threw the sheet music, and I assume he threw it at her. He threw it in her direction.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "How dare you disrespect the sheet music?" And he was like, um, I only played all of those times, and I only practiced so hard because I thought that if I played well enough, that you would get better." But now I don't care anymore. I wish you would just die. And that was the last thing he said to his mother before she actually died. So in his mind, this was his punishment for it. And you could see that the specter that he had created in his mind, because it's not actually his mother talking to him. Throughout those scenes that you see her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a specter that he creates in his mind that says, "This is your fault, and this is your punishment for abandoning the piano and abandoning me." So that's also something that triggers that um, selective auditory experience. I like the
Yeah.
way you worded that.
Yeah. But the thing is that he feels guilty when he's actually justified. You know what I'm saying? He's the one being abused. He's the one that got all these ankle bruises on him and is bleeding. So if you say that, I wish you just died. I mean, in a sense, he's justified at that. You're abusing me, and here I am just trying to make you feel better, and it's not, and it's and actually, the loyalty contract has already been broken by the time, with all this abuse. He don't have to be loyal to this, to this sickly woman. She's already done messed up her loyalty contract with all this, domestic abuse that he's taken. But he feels guilty, because like um like in the archive podcast, she would talk about how some people say, when you're being abused by, a parent or something, or a family member, they'll say you only get one mama and things like that. And he will say, well, this person cannot understand that, that you're being abused by this person. You know what I'm saying? And they'll cover it up by saying something like that. That you only get one mama. And if that's all it takes, to basically enable the person that is abusing me and harming me, that's supposed to love me or whatever, then yeah, the contract is basically null and void. So, but he feels guilty, and like you say, he does have that specter that holds him back and say, see, I told you, see, you playing it wrong, but he was playing like a robot in the beginning when his mother was alive anyway. He like even she says, we didn't get to the art, which should have came anyway. But he was just monotone with it and robotic, but he was so geniusly robotic with it and flawless with it. It it didn't register, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. Chief has said that even though he saw the live action, that scene still showed up, but it wasn't as brutal. Yeah, but she was in a wheelchair. You're right, Chief. Um, let's see. Let's see a couple of them. Oh yeah, Sovereign Eats says, would you say that she was his abuser and his muse simultaneously? Um, yeah, I would say so because she abused him, sure. Um, but the interesting thing about his perception of his mother at that point was he could only remember certain parts of her. Because of that PTSD, he didn't really want to think about his mother, and he says so in later scenes that he felt even guilty that he pushed the memory of his mother so far out of his mind because it would hurt less. So when he actually started to remember, like there was one scene and one of the I think it's like midway through the series, like episode 13 or so, and he has to play Love Sorrow, right? It was written by Chrysler, and then later rearranged. I think of the arrangement, Sergei Rachmaninoff, because it was originally written for the violin, and then Rachmaninoff he rearranged it. He arranged it for
with the
the
piano.
piano, so that it could be played on the piano. And it was a piece that his mother would always play. He would fall asleep beneath the piano, and he just had that somatic experience tucked away in his memory, and he couldn't access it because he couldn't get past that. Um, Almost like to say in a sentence, "I killed my mom," in a sentence, because in his young mind, he was the one keeping her alive. That's the way he saw his playing. That's why he was so robotic, because he got the points. So it was like a chain of events, right? Because he figured if he played the way his mother taught him, then she would get better. She taught him to play that way so that he could get the points and he could actually support himself when she died. You know, it's fuzzy with the father, by the way, but we'll get to that. But for what we can tell, it's just him and her, and the father's like tucked off somewhere
Working. He working.
working. Right?
He
Yeah, he
like
just working.
literally working at a black
Yeah,
company or something. But yeah,
yeah,
I, I would say that Emma Precious said, right, when the abuse is apparent, it can truly be confusing, rift for a life of cognitive dissonance for sure. Um, yeah, and when he plays Love Sorrow, it brings him back to when he was like a baby, and he was under the piano, and that, like you said, that was my lullaby, and that was before when she was walking and she was healthy and wasn't sick, and then you find out that when he was born, she didn't want him to be a pianist. She was like, "No, this is a hard life." And the person that said, he's a genius. You should teach him, was her friend, was a girlfriend, um, who was also a pianist and a famous pianist in the anime, you know, because of the simple fact that he could memorize without the notes in a sense, and he could pick up on it because here she is just making up a song about how she don't like her husband. She about to kick him out, and he just picked up on it. Yeah, and he's singing it all, cursing at that, husband is the dummy. Get bad buddy. I can't. Well, I can't say it all, but yeah, but yeah, man. And then she blames herself because she's like, yeah, I started him off on that road, but nobody gives him the wisdom to say, hey, man, you didn't kill your mom. You didn't kill your mom. It sort of shows how you know Kyosei lacked a proper covering, after his mom passed, and his father didn't give him a proper covering since we're talking about, because he worked, he was working every day, all day, and never came home, like in that culture is. And he didn't provide a proper covering, you know. And no one around him provided a proper covering or proper wisdom to say, you didn't kill your mom. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that. You didn't do it, you know. It. But for sure, with that one. And look, we still we still on that. We ain't even got to, Gowrie. We got the Gowrie yet.
Yeah, which is like, um, I would say she was the main muse, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually, she's like the catalyst for this whole thing. She's like the mastermind, pulling the strings. But yeah, man. Actually, Hiriko does. Who's the friend? The mother's name is Saki. Um, Hiriko is Saki's friend, who they basically went to the same music college, and they stayed friends afterwards. And Koze actually asks, if there's Love's Joy and Love's Sorrow. Love's Joy was the first composition. Love's Sorrow comes after that. It was composed later. And Koze is like, well, there's Love's Joy and Love's Sorrow. So how come you always play Love's Sorrow? And she said, it's important for you to learn um, how to suffer, or something along those lines.
Chase the sorrow away. I thought it was chase the sorrow away.
It was something like that. But I think she wanted him. She knew his life was going to be hard because she knew how sick she was. So she wanted him to be able to cope with sorrow. And you can see later, like when Koze brings it up with Hiriko, they're at a festival, and he starts telling her, I really feel bad for pushing my mother away, and I feel guilty for what I said to her because those were my last words. I wish you would just die already, and she was like, and he was like, mom must have hated me that night in the hallway, and she was like, actually, it was a pivotal moment for you as a pianist and as a person because you stood up for yourself. You endured all that abuse and you finally stood up for yourself. And she was a little happy that you did, but she also felt like she didn't have any time. She didn't have enough time to prepare him for life, and that was one of her main regrets. But she only wanted him to be a pianist so badly after a while because she figured he would be able to provide for himself if he had that skill, which is why she taught him to play according to the scoring and the judging rules and not as an artist. You don't get points for being an artist, as you could see, like with the reactions to Cowrie, right? She was an artist. She was a musician. She didn't play for competition. She played because she wanted to play. And as you see later on down the line, she wanted to make sure that she lived on in the hearts of people as well. So it wasn't as important for her to score, you know, which was like she like bridged the gap between what Koze's mother had taught him and what she would have taught him later had she had enough time to do so. But she taught him like Chief would always say, start with the concrete. She taught him the concrete first, and the art would follow later. But she just didn't have enough time to teach it.
Man, his mom was so for single mother syndrome. Let's just let's just keep it a buck. She suffered from single mother syndrome. Like she's trying to teach him all these. She can't. That's well we know that's his father's job. But hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm talking about. But as we talk about that, it made me think of a classic pianist that nobody would think of as a pianist, based on their their history. But Nina Simone, man, you know what I'm talking about. She, was raised as a classic pianist, and then got into jazz and whatnot. But for sure, what I'm saying. The art, he didn't learn the art. He just learned how to, basically go with the standard of how you're supposed to play this. You know what I'm saying? How you're supposed to play that. There's no invention and creativity. He did, in that. Just play it how it's supposed to be played. Even though, it's these these works have been there for like over a century. It's like, but there's, different ways to play them, and things like that. But he never got, he wasn't taught the art form of it. You know what I'm saying? Here come Yaya, come through with the musical history. I mean, we can look, we can go down when it comes to the creativity of historically, with people like Nina Simone, because like what, she would rather be playing block or something like that, or when you think of other ones like because when I watched this anime, I thought about how Chief said, we should be playing, you gotta learn how to play an instrument. And like I said, I learned how to I used to play an instrument, and it was a clarinet. And I didn't have much to go on when it comes to that instrument, especially when it comes to guys to play. But like this week, huh?
You got Squidward.
Whatever, man. I'm talking about real people. But I started listening to Sidney Bechet, from New Orleans, and he plays the clarinet, and just how, you know, he plays and the reverb that he plays with, like he started, with when jazz was still in his infancy and whatnot, but Sidney Bechet would just play the clarinet like I never heard play. Like, shoot, yeah, that's Benny Goodman, but forget all that. Sidney Bechet just be banging on the clarinet, but he gets the art, the art form of the clarinet just right that you just like, man, I am feeling it right now. I'm talking about, but and then you have, like Ray Charles, and Stevie Wonder, they just masters with the dang on piano. And then you got Jelly Roll and Fats Domino and whatnot, and stride piano playing, and you see the creativity with all of that. You know what I'm talking about? Just off the piano. But I mean, you can go with different instruments. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you see jazz come with not just classical, but also the art form and creativity, and moment to moment creativity. You know what I'm saying? When you're really on the mastery of the art form itself, and you're able to create just from moment to moment to moment, and then you're also able to bring out things in people that accompanies you, you know, whether it's a quartet or just three people, you know what I'm talking about. um and you sort of see that in your line, April, with Kyrie and Kiyose um playing together, and also when Kiyose plays with what's the name's little sister, you know,
Takashi's little sister.
yeah, Takashi's little sister, when
Yeah,
they
but
duet.
yeah, yeah, that was like one of my favorite. I like all of the performances though. All of the musical choices were really good. Even the OVA, no, not OVA, OST. Even the original
Mm-hmm.
soundtrack. Like this is
For
one
those
choice.
that don't know what OST means, it means
Yeah,
original soundtrack.
right, right. Yeah. So there's one song I liked on it, Uso no Honto. It plays a lot, but there's a piano and violin accompaniment, and there's also just straight piano. And speaking of playing instruments, I grew up like um, playing piano by ear, just like as a hobby, not like I'm learning or I'm still musically illiterate or whatever. I don't know how to read music. I just used to hear the sounds and be like, I want to be able to do that, you know. So I think my cousin was the first one who introduced me to it inadvertently because he used to have this small keyboard. It was a cheap keyboard, but he had it like he would always have it like laying about, like if he was playing it and then he put it away, and I would just um, play on it. You know, I saw that it had like the little library where it would show you how to play the song. It had a small screen and it show you which key to press and everything, you know, and I would just follow along with that. And when they had a garage sale a couple of years later, my brother saw it, same brother who got the belt, you know, he saw it and he was like, oh, this is a piano that Tonio used to play. So he got the piano for me. And you know, I continued to play. This was like when Linkin Park was popular. You know, they were coming around, so they had like people who do piano covers, and I really liked the band. So I was like, let me learn these songs. So I started like, and it just progressed. You know, my parents saw that I liked it, and they got me another keyboard. You know, which was much larger. I think when I first joined Enlightenment and Transformation, my YouTube screen name was 88 Tonio 88. The 88 was 88 keys of piano because that's the only reason I used to come on YouTube just to learn like piano tutorials, you know. But I think I only remember like one or two songs, but it's muscle memory. Like you can see with Koze, he plays with a lot of muscle memory too, and with because he can't hear it, you know, so he remembers how long you have to take to press the notes, you know, in between notes. So he feels it out. So I could understand where he was coming from with that too. Or like when they're like he plays it by memory. Like my hands remember. I don't remember. That's why I don't know how many songs I know until I actually start pressing stuff. You know?
Yeah, bro, for sure. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, like, oh, Bivakasha, you know, sovereign needs. But I mean, like, there's many, you know, pianist, saxophonist, violinist that you can, you know, really go go to. You know what I'm saying? That have that creativity. Like, look, I'm looking like yesterday, you know, and we, you know, Stasis. I'm looking at Chief, and it's like, oh, Chief about to. what he create, because I see him tapping, and I'm like, okay, he creates something. What's going on in his head, what I'm talking about? Because I know he ready, he ready to write out, his new, great work, that he working on. But I'm like, yeah, he creating, in that moment, what I'm talking about. And that's how I say that's how it is for musicians, what I'm saying? It is just it's nonstop for them, what I'm saying? That's and the fact that, the music that they were creating or playing, even though it was classical, it was in colors. It was in different colors, and whatnot. And when Kiyose played, the the room would turn into colors, and it will wow everybody, especially those that were pianists and could understand. Like the little girl was like, when he plays, he put, I think of sunflowers. You know what I'm saying? It was sunflowers when he played the first time he heard him play, or she heard him play, and things like that. And it like I said, once again, made me think of Chief on how, when he plays, he sees colors and whatnot, and but yeah, I mean, when it comes to things like classical or different genres of music, what I'm saying, it's not that, or to sort of answer sovereign needs, it's not that there's not any soul there, and but it's the soul was probably for the creator, not the one that's actually playing the finished work. You know what I'm talking about? If you think of it like that, Beethoven has already created it. Now somebody's just playing it, and they're just playing it how he wrote it. So yeah, there's a soul there, but probably the soul was in the creation of it, not in the the repetition, the countless repetition of playing it how he played it, playing it how he played it, and not basically, okay, this is how Beethoven played it. I'm gonna play it like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna play it like this. I'm gonna play how I want to play it. You know what I'm saying? And then going along your own path, finding your own identity in creating different style like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I can see you, answer, pretty Tony 88, what I'm talking about. That works. You know what I'm talking about. You know, I can't say that, I'm busy playing this woodwind instrument. See, you gotta know your instruments. This woodwind instrument, you gotta get it right. Otherwise, it's gonna tickle tickle your lip or something. You gotta,
I can see
and,
you on top of the rooftop with your clarinet, and you got your trench
exactly.
coat.
What else? But but
all the
it
ever come. I was like, who's that?
who's that? Yeah. But
Yeah,
even then, with different. What you was gonna say?
no, I was looking at the chat. I think I actually brought this up to you yesterday. Shamini Joy says reminds me of synesthetes. I think that's how you pronounce it. But remember the sister I told you about? She's an artist, like a visual artist, but
Mm-hmm.
she can only, like, she sees colors, right? Like, to her brain interprets sound as color. So when she paints, she would listen to music. She would have these headphones on, and she would paint what she sees. So that sort of reminded me of that comment.
Yeah, for sure. Money try to be funny. Clarinets and 88 keys. What of it? Yeah, I played it. So, I thought it was cool. I was, I like jazz, and I was like, oh, this would be interesting. I can do, and then, yeah, I probably also picked it up because of Godfather. Okay, so dang gonna show we're gonna play no flute. But uh so I mean, you have that, but when we talk about, like Kyrie was an artist, but as being an artist, she also saw a fellow artist that was down in the dumps, and she wanted to bring him out. You know what I'm saying? And she wanted to do it for the artist that inspired her to go on her journey. You know what I'm talking about? Like, was was that was cool because of the simple fact that, like, you see that in real life in a little bit. Like, you have certain artists that probably didn't make a bunch of money, with their artwork, but they have fans that like put headstones on their graves. Like, Lil Walter, or Buddy Bolden, what I'm saying? Um People like that, Kid Ori, you know. Um so I mean, oh, sorry. What's wrong with the flute? Nothing's wrong with the flute. I just, I had to take my music practice with a girl that, well, the girl I had a crush on. The girl, she played the flute while I played the clarinet, So I was like, I ain't playing no dang on flute, because the girl I liked, at the time, she played the flute, and I was, just playing the clarinet along with her, talking about. So yeah, so ain't nothing wrong with it. It's a cool instrument, from the flute to the piccolo. When you get into those, those brass or whatnot, instruments, trumpet, cornet, things like that. You know what I'm talking about. Shmoney, like, let's get an album. I can actually see you playing the clarinet. It's very jazzy. Oh well, that's what's up. Pete Zaya, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fellow musician helping out a fellow musician, because they're sort of in that um family of musicians, where you help out your own, what I'm saying? And that was cool about it, because none of the other pianists helped them out, or saw that, but she did, and but she also was in love with him and had a crush on him, we sort of didn't get into that romantic part, and that was the way that she worked herself in. See, she already had a plan to work herself in, even with that little that your line, April, even with that little lie, she worked herself in to be around him. Some women don't even know how to do that with guys they with, or
Yeah,
guys they interested in. She had a whole foolproof
yeah,
plan.
she put that together. That was like a year-long plan too. She's like, all right, we'll do this. Like, you could even see it, because I had to rewatch it. But even watching it the second time, it's like you can see where she's selectively answering questions. Like, she would only answer the questions that would keep him around music, or she would only answer the questions that would direct him or help him to stay on path to his purpose, which was playing music. But I found it interesting that everything she did was to bring him closer to music. But a lot of the things that Tsubaki did was to take him away from music, so that she
Exactly.
can have him to herself. Like, you could see it with her flashback when she was younger. Like, even when he says, I'm going to a music school, you know, or I'm going to go to a school that allows me to do music. And she was like, I didn't know we had music schools. And she's like, we don't, but I only have to go to certain classes a day, and um, but I would have to leave. I would have to move away. She doesn't even wait to hear the rest. She just takes off. And it's like, come on, sis. Like, dude just gave you some good news. He's actually doing what you kept telling him he needs to do. You know, so
And
now,
that's what made her so dang on annoying.
yeah. And then when
You
you
holding me back.
flashback, that's another thing too that was dangerous about her, because he was being abused and she could see it. Like, what's with all the bruises on your hands? But she was just like,
And she
hey,
didn't tell her
hey,
mama
hey,
or
hey.
nothing.
Yeah, hey, you want to play? Hey, you want to play? Like she just wanted him to herself, and she was like, "Oh, he can't play with me because he's always doing music. I hate music." Really?
Yeah, and instead of that, and how you gonna be my best friend and not see that I'm being abused and not tell somebody? Like, but you say we grew up next door together and whatnot, and you still don't know that I'm being abused, and you're not sticking up for me as my friend. I don't have. I, I, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that.
She was sort of banking on their history together. She was still like, again, like everybody, like very few people in that show were living in the present. It was up to Arima to really live in the present, and he found that through Kaori, right? Because everybody else was like, um, he's the human metronome, or um, I want to see the Kose from before. I want to see the Arima from before. No one really paid attention to what he's going through now and how that's affecting him now. They were like, "All right, just get over yourself so you can entertain me some more." They're like,
Being parasitical.
yeah, being parasitical because they're like, they're almost disappointed in what he's become, and they don't necessarily see the need to let him work through his issue. And even the one of the judges, he's like, "This stage is not for you to work out your issues in public." It's like, come on, dog. Dude just had a
He,
breakthrough on stage.
it's like okay, it's like realistically, you love Charlie Parker, you love Bird, you love Charlie Parker and how he plays, but Charlie got an addiction. And ain't nobody trying to save Charlie. None of his fans is trying to save him from his drug addiction. It's the same thing, but they want to play like Charlie Parker. It's like, but he's hurting. He got an addiction. Or we dang on John Coltrane, same thing, had an addiction. Ain't no, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear these are my favorite things. Play that, play that, play that, John. Play that. We I don't care about your dago drug addiction. I don't care that you got a heroin addiction, whatever. I want to hear Blackbird. Something like that.
Yeah, it really did. It reminds me of what um, Chief mentioned it often. Especially when he did the call-in shows. Um, and this is where you get to boundaries now, right? Which was like another good thing when Arima stood up to his mother. It's just what happened right after that was like it made him shrink back into his shell. But like, I'm not a vending machine. It's something that Chief would always say. You're not just gonna get stuff out of me like I'm a vending machine. And people can tend to do that with great people, or with people they see as being further along than they are, or people who they just see as having something that they don't. You know, they'll come to them and be like, it's almost like certain atoms. Like, I don't have these electrons, or I don't have these protons. Give them to me. I'll join with you, or I'll bond with you, just so I can get these things that I think I lack. You know, and they'll bond with you.
I don't got the spiritual power of Chief, so give me that. Give me give me
Yeah,
the ritual or whatever.
yeah.
Even if he
Whatever.
says you don't have to do that.
Yeah,
But
whatever you did to
I want the
get
ritual
that.
anyway.
Yeah. Because they want that power, right? But they don't necessarily have all of the things that go along with it. And we spoke about this also on the Clubhouse segment on first day with simplicity, and Chief is built on being able to express that essence without necessarily having to try and complicate it. It is what it is. You just allow it to express itself, and this is like the transformation that Arima is going through, because he can't connect to anything other than what's going on in his soul, and when he plays it, like people go into a trance, like they forget to applaud and like, oh, it's over. He's already bowed and halfway off stage. It's like, it's over. Because
Exactly.
it
It's
resonates.
done. Was that it?
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So halfway, you're like, oh, we're supposed to clap. They forgot what comes next because they're stuck in that moment with him. And it's interesting to see how all of the different pianists and performers, they have a similar effect, but it comes from a want or a desire, right? The sister you brought up earlier, I think her name was Emmy Agawa, right? And she's like the tempestuous one. She's real finicky, you know. She plays based on her mood, you know. Uh, the woman in the red dress, that sort of archetype. Like yeah, she's real fiery, but she tries to play it cool. But her facade cracks a lot because she wants to play it cool, but she can't hide the fact that she's just so passionate about everything. So when she plays, everybody can see her passion, and it's like the colors are like red and yellow, and then like the red is for anger, and the yellow was like more like loneliness or longing, because she wanted to see Arima play the same way he played, because I think she saw his first song, first time he played in public, so he didn't have like that.
And she was the kid that was crying.
Right, she was the one who was crying. Like she started crying just because of the atmosphere that he brought. Like he didn't even start playing yet. You know what I mean? And but she felt him, I think, at his purest at that point in his life, because he learned how to play and he was playing at home, but it wasn't like his mother wasn't as desperate as she was in the later years. Like she just taught him to play and she couldn't even make it. He played his first recital by himself and won. He played his
And
first
he
one.
was smiling afterwards, like I did
Yeah, yeah,
it.
did it. So he was happy. He put everything into it like a child. And as he grew up, eventually that love for the music, it was conflated with a sense of duty, and desperation as well. Like, I have to play this way. I have to get it perfect, or my mother's gonna die. That was the way that he saw it. But she saw the happy Jose, who was just like, well, my mom's sick, but if I keep playing well, she's gonna get better. It's like, nah, she dying. you know, that's where it went to. And people, again, they couldn't see beneath the surface. A lot of people were jealous of him. Um, Even Emmy and Takashi, who was like another person who was inspired to play because he played. And he was like, oh, he's like a superhero. He doesn't crack under pressure. He always wins. So everybody had these expectations they placed on him because of
Because
thought
they didn't
forms.
know him anyway.
Right. So it's like the thought forms that we have based on people, like the small impressions we have of them versus what they actually are, is like the walls and the barriers, they started to collapse. People were like, he's like a regular person. Like he's like a human.
Exactly. We do that. I mean, we do that with celebrities all the time, and then we see, when they act out or they go through something, we see how human they are. In that moment, but we didn't know them anyway. Like what you said. What if you heard Denzel Washington cuss, right in front of you. You wouldn't have the same, outlook on him like you did. I'm like, you dang all right. I don't see that. Like when I heard Michael Jordan cuss, I was like, Michael Jordan cusses. Like it's Michael. Like he cusses. Like that's because they were idolizing, Kiyosei. Kiyosei. Um, as a kid, they were instantly idolizing him. To where he could do no wrong, or he wasn't suffering or anything like that. They didn't care no way, but they wanted to bring back their idol. that idol, which Japan got a big idol, system in a sense, when it comes to music and things like that. So I mean, yeah, I mean, we do, it's seen, and you see that idolization in this one, but you also see, I would say, visualize visualization and actualizing when you see Kiari, when she first hears him play, then she's like, Mom, Dad, can you buy me a violin? Because I want to play on the same. I want to play with him. I want him to accompany me. Which that was her, visualizing where she wanted to be in that sense. What I'm saying? She already visualized herself being on the stage with him, not being behind him or supporting him, but actually on the stage with him. Playing with him. You know
Yeah,
because
Emmy
she
did
was
the same.
also a pianist at
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Emmy did the same thing where she was like, "I want to." Right after she saw him play the first time, she asked her parents to take her to the park, and she climbed on top of the jungle gym, and she's like, she proclaimed to the heavens, like, "My name is Emmy, and I'm gonna play piano." That was like she was serious too. Like she threw away all of her other interests. She sacrificed everything just to play the piano because she was so moved by the way he played. And he she said something that was very key later on when she was standing beside Takashi, and she was like, he was like, oh, he's ignoring us again. And she was like, well, he never really knew us. We were the ones who were always watching him. He didn't know us. And she realized too, we never really got to know him. We just knew the kid who we were always competing against, who we can never beat. Again, just having that mental image as opposed to seeing what's in front of you, right? We're talking about knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Understanding is being able to see things for what they are and not for what they appear to be. And people were always seeing a child who appeared to be perfect but also soulless. You know, they didn't realize what was going on inside of him, and he was actually a very passionate baby. Like he always crying. Like he was real sensitive, but he was real stone faced in public because they were even mad at him because he never stuck around to see the results. Oh, it's like he knows he's gonna win. Nah, he doesn't care about the competition. He's trying to save a life, you know. So, but with Kaori, she saw, um, you got to give it to her. She saw an opportunity to do something, and she set her mind to do it because she was basically like his mother, in the sense that she was also terminally ill, and she knew it, and she realized she didn't have much time.
Not only that, Carrie wasn't even the cute chick in the beginning. Well, in the sense that she was an average
There we go.
looking chick that nobody paid attention to. She went to the same school as them, and nobody paid her any attention, like Kyo said. But she was like, "Well, I didn't want to step on y'all friendship." And then what she did, she took off them dang on glasses, got us some contacts. She's trying to get glammed up. Trying to get that drip on her. So she can be seen. Some of y'all get the drip for the wrong reasons, but this chick wanted to get seen by the man she wanted to be with. She already picked out as a kid, like I want him. But anyway, what I'm talking about. But yeah,
Yeah, man. But he makes a lot of breakthroughs too. And I remember the first time I was like, this dude, he got it rough, you know, because and I think what's her name again? Hiriko, I think that's her name. Yeah, she was speaking with Emmy's instructor, and they were talking about his performance after the Rachmaninoff piece, The Love Sorrow, and she was like, his mother, when his mother passed, it shattered a lot of us, and I know for a fact that it shattered him, And he finally was able to work it out and resolve it through music. And then Emmy's teacher says it makes me afraid for him because if that type of suffering helped him to evolve so much as a musician, him, which is like foreshadowing, like, yeah, he's gonna have a repeat of what happens with his mother, and he even says it to her in the hospital, like, you're not gonna leave me, are you? You know, and it's like a repeat, and he has to learn how to say goodbye, because he finally just was able to say goodbye to his mother after 2 years, which I'd say heck of a growth spurt.
Yeah,
But
you know,
in 2 years,
it
but
sort of reminds me of Five Heartbeats. Donald Duck Matthews is going to be a great writer someday. Until when he suffers more, he's like, "What does that mean?" Now I know what it means. That gets it. Now I'm becoming a great writer. I like to think through people. My fiance and my brother. My brother. It's always been the same selfish since we were kids. Don't do this here. No. Oh my. Okay. I can't do the whole thing. I guess I can get a deal like fast because my last day is a heartbeat too. you know. But yeah, you know. You sort of see that sometimes, when it comes to genius, you're going to probably have to go through some suffering, what I'm saying, or you're going to have to lose something, you know. And you see that with Kiyosek, and Himiko sees it too. It's like he's going to have to lose, or he's going to have to suffer to further along his evolution as a pianist, you know. And it's going to hurt him, and it could stop him from playing because it stopped him from playing last time, and because he is in love with this person, and he wants to be with them, and they were his reason for coming back. It could stop him from playing completely, like she says, could stop him from playing at all, not writing music or making music or composing music anymore, just at all. He's not playing at all. At all, so
at all.
yeah, at all.
And it's interesting because he never really fully puts music down. He actually gets paid to compose musics. He gets paid to compose music. Like he would do music for commercials and stuff like that while he's at school, you know. But he just can't hear the sound of his own playing, which is like which was a sign that he needed to really address what was going on. But he tried to stay away from it for so long. Like the piano that he had at home was covered in dust, covered in books. Like he tried his best to bury it. And he kept getting pulled down to the depths of his subconscious. But it was because there was something there that he left behind and he had to go retrieve. So anytime you see him on stage, he would imagine himself underwater. Or there was a scene where he fell in the pool, you know, and he goes into this well, he's unconscious, but he has this vision while he's unconscious, like I'm underwater, but I could still see the light above me, and that lets him know that I can I can pull from this dark space and bring it into the light, which is what you see him do when he's playing. Everything that he's playing is inside of him because he can't hear it outside. And let me know if you can still hear me because
Yeah, I can.
my screen is doing
I can
funny
hear you.
stuff.
I can hear you. I can
Okay,
hear you.
cool.
Like you froze. But yeah, wow, he comes back. Um, you get that. and
Uh-oh.
then that's cool. Oh, you came back. You okay?
Yeah, yeah, but the sync is off.
For sure, for
But
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, I'm back. But what I was also saying was you can see in him that he even has a sort of intensity to him. You know, when he's not playing, he still has that connection to that source where he's super intense. He's not really focused on what the children his age are focused on. You know, he's doing work. Even though I still don't know what his father does. I'm real curious to know. I think
Like I say, probably works at a black company, you
right.
know.
How
and,
could
and, and
you break down a black company for people who
okay, a
don't?
black company is like one of those companies, usually the black company was called for those companies in Japan or even China or Korea, whereas it's very hard on not in manual labor but office jobs, and they are highly abusive, and the hours are long, and the workers are or the employees are mistreated. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I mean by black company. Like um I would give an example, but of certain companies that could probably be considered black companies, but nah, you know. But that's but there are certain black companies like that, and it's not what we think of black company, but actual companies that are highly abusive and mistreative of their employees. You know, that's what I mean by black company.
Yeah, man. But there was also something else that I wanted to cover, and it was student-teacher relationships. Because when Hideko actually, offers to teach him, he accepts. But then someone actually comes to him for lessons, and that would be Takashi's younger sister. At first, she's just there like sabotage, like she wants to ruin him
She
because
actually goes to Himiko first.
oh, she goes to Himiko and
She
she
goes to
gets
Himiko first,
yeah
and then Himiko says he'll say you're going to teach her.
right, that's true. Yeah, and she came just to be near him because she wanted to sabotage, like she wanted to take over the competition for Big Bro, you know, and you can see again the idolization and them having a certain impression of him versus what he actually was, and she wanted to like she down there crushed his fingers in the piano. I was like, this is the
I told you she about to get a foot to the face.
I was like, how dare you? I wanted to push her down all them stairs. The thing she and her
I
brother.
mean, it's not a grudge match. I mean, I don't. It's not like you know me and your brother has come to blows. Like we then actually fought. Like on the stage or something. We're just competing. It's friendly competition, and here you is making it personal.
Mhm. Yeah. Meanwhile, he barely knows her. They barely know each other. So they know of him, and he met them when he was actually lucid enough and focused enough on life to look around and be like, "Oh, you play piano too?" Because before he wasn't really making any friends. He wasn't trying to form any type of connections besides his mother, because it was only his mother and the piano. And he didn't have time for anything else. So he didn't really notice the competition until he went back to play. I think it was a competition where they were only playing Chopin, Friedrich Chopin,
Hmm.
and that's like one of my favorite composers too. I like his rhythm, how he moves. It's real smooth.
For
You know.
sure, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a Beethoven type of dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's Beethoven for me because here I am like I do love me some Canon in D. I do love Canon in D. You know.
I liked what was that song? Oh man, it was the third movement of it too. I can't remember what the name of it was. So I think he also did Appassionata, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. Yeah, Appassionata, the third movement of that as well. Um, I think it was the 10th. It was the first song that you see Koze playing. That one,
Yeah.
in the opening. I can't remember the name of the song, but yeah, Chopin has a nice cadence to it. I always like music that sort of had layers. Like it would start off real slow, and then it would build up, and then it would go fast, and then it would slow down again. Like different like levels to it. And Chopin had a lot of songs like that, especially etudes that he would play. Which etude is like a really technical piece, and it gives you a chance to not only practice at a high level, but also display your level of technical ability. So etudes would be examples of etudes would be you see Amy playing, when she was wearing a red dress, or Takashi playing, or in that same competition where Koze plays, and he gets over, you know, or he gets works through another his second piece. So those would be like etudes, and um, Chopin was also the composer for the final song in the show, um, which is ballad in G major, I think, or G minor, and that one that's like the song, like that's still like one of my favorite songs, but it was because of that show, where Koza is playing his final song, and he wants to he's almost having like a telepathic experience. He's imagining Kaori in his mind playing
Mhm.
alongside him as he plays. And I could never find another. I don't know if it was just me. I could never find another version of that song where there's a violin accompanying the piano. It's usually
Piano.
just the piano. You know, um, there was a composer who I liked his rendition of it. Leaf over Ansnes. I think he's like Norwegian or something like that. Like
Mhm.
he does really good rendition of it. But the violin really brings that to life for me. It's really smooth how they incorporate it. And he now has to process her passing because he knows she's gonna leave, and she actually passes while he's playing the song.
Exactly in that moment, it was
Yeah,
like, and not only that, it was like the birthing of a star. Especially when she leaves, because you see, she's basically sort of feels like she's exploding in a sense, and like I say, birthing of a star. She's star bursting in that moment. you know, um, I know it's funny, but that's what I thought of. It's like the birthing of a star. Like she's a star is born in that moment. Like, that's how they picture it, with cherry blossoms and whatnot. But it you know it and in that moment he's seeing that, and then he's actually has to say goodbye, you know in that moment, and he's playing phenomenally and flawlessly, but he has to say goodbye in that moment. That's when the field started going in. Like when that part goes on, he's like, "No, don't go. Tell me you want me to go get this. Tell me you want me. Let's do this. Let's do that. Just don't go." And then in the end, he has to say goodbye.
yeah, yeah. If you watch it in the Japanese, I don't know, it hit me harder when I watched it in Japanese first. Like,
I used to watch the Japanese
yeah,
clips, and
yeah,
when I very first saw it, and then I finished it, and I was like, I got to hear the song again, and then it
yeah,
had the Japanese rendition, and I was like, I can't watch it no more. The feels. It's like the feels, like because with the Japanese ones, that it's for it, so it hits harder, and you like, oh no, I can't do it. you know,
Yeah, because everything is like they do a good job with dubbing now. It's not like back in the '90s or the '80s or the '70s where you're like, you want to challenge me,
Exactly.
like they have to, because there's so many more words and the way that the words are just written, just the language, how the language is composed. Like I gotta say composed because there's a bunch of different characters and the way you arrange them determines what the meaning is. It's not like us where you got A, B, C. You can write a character and it can mean so much, which is why calligraphy is still so it's considered such a classical art form. You're writing all of these different characters. It means like you could write sword, and it could mean sword, but because of the way that you write the symbol,
It's
you know,
totally
it's
different.
totally different. Depending on who writes it, or the thickness of the strokes, the lightness of the strokes. Like it's like graphology when they're reading each other's writing. You could see someone's personality in the way that they write.
Now you make me think of Hero,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
movie,
yeah, yeah.
when they were,
He wrote all our.
writing.
That was like what stopped the war. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Yeah, Hero's a good movie. I'm gonna put that on the list now.
Okay, that's no
This
problem.
is my official request.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. We that'll work. I've always liked that movie anyway. So I like martial arts movies, and they
Oh
got
yeah,
Jet Li and Donnie Yen and Zhang Ji, and
yeah.
for sure, man.
It was beautiful visually as well. I used to watch the movie a lot when I was learning about science of color.
Hmm.
Color and storytelling. I really love just the visual. Like they could do that movie with no words, and I'd still love it. Because it's so much visual storytelling, and it's sort of similar with this work as well. You can see a lot of the visualization um, that they show the audience, and it's like it adds a third dimension to what it is that they're saying, what they're feeling. Like that he's playing on a sea of glass. You know what I mean? Like in the last scene, like all you can see is just like shallow water straight down, and there's like nothing under the water, and there's like a cherry blossom tree in the distance, and it's like you can see that he's really on the stage in his own world. The audience doesn't matter to him. The only thing that matters is um, that he knows this person is going to pass on, and he's already gone through it before. Like this ain't his first rodeo, so he knows that it's hopeless, but he's still like it's like my God, why have you forsaken me? Like how wish I knew what the deal was, but in that moment you could see his humanity playing out.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Uh, Shoot, you got anything else with this? Because
I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Watari, because Watari is cool. Like he was a
yeah,
good. I just say that he's a good friend. Like he wasn't like you
yeah.
see no drama coming from him, and you could also see that with I forgot the girl's name, but the quiet girl who always spoke the truth.
I can't
She
remember her name.
like she deserved cozy more than anyone. After one girl went, I don't want to wind up with Subaki because she said,
Exactly.
I
She was annoying.
was like, I like her because she tells the truth. She's super sisterly, and um, like yeah, she's just straightforward. She's cool. I liked her as a person, as a character.
Yeah, I did too.
And,
Like you need to, either it's this or that. But you're gonna hurt somebody if you don't stop. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? She's always giving that truth. You know what I'm talking about? And then it's like, yeah, you love him or whatever. She's always so. Why don't you just tell him? Why are you waiting? And then like after Kyrie dies and things like that, and Tsubaki's like, "Why don't you go check on Kiyose?" He was like, "Why don't you go check on Kiyose? I'm not going to do that. You do that. You wanted to go see him. You care so much. You go see him. You like him so much.
Yeah,
You go see him.
yeah.
You know."
Like her friend was telling the truth. Like you being selfish and stupid right now. It's like she's such a girl. she's just a little
Exactly.
girl.
Exactly. Choosy Susie. She just choosy Susie. Anyway, but
But I
yeah.
don't know. That's all I gotta say. That's not all I gotta say. I could talk about the show for days because there's so much to get into. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, man, it's a real good show, especially if you want to conceptualize what PTSD, like one of its manifestations, or even the fact that he had to work through this, even though like he had support, he still had to work through it, and a lot of it was like an identity crisis because he was looking at himself the way his mother saw him, and it took someone else to tell him like, not you're your own person, you're not your mother, you're not your friend, you like this, you like that, you dislike this, you dislike that, you're your own person. So that self exploration is what really helped him to, and I think I'm frozen again. Oh no, I'm good.
No, you good.
Yeah, but that self exploration is really what helped him to really blossom, into his manhood. And Subaki could see it. Like she was like, he looks different. Something different about you. Everybody could see it, but mainly Subaki and Kaori. Kaori was even like, did you get taller? It's like he wasn't looking down all the time anymore because he wasn't stuck in the past. He was looking ahead. Even when they were asking him, the teacher asked him, "What do you want to do for high school?" And he was like, "I don't know," because he was still stuck in this season. He was just living off the glory of what's happening now. And then when he had to think about the future, that's when things started really getting real. Subaki throws a temper tantrum and runs off. When he's doing his man stuff, it's like, all right, I need a school that's gonna help me do music. It's like, all right, I found one, but it's far away. Why can't you just stay for me? Get out of here. Keep running.
Yeah, she trying to work her way to be with him. Like, Kyrie's in love with with what's his name again? Kyrie's in love with such. So you need to just fall in love with me. It's like, what?
Yeah. And you could always see that, like, when Kaori has a moments with Watari, you know, and they're gelling. She's over in the distance, like, must be nice. Like, what? Like, you grow some ovaries. This dude is looking at his vision, and he's looking at the person who actually matches
Supports the vision.
and supports the vision. And you right here talking about, um, oh, I feel like I'm being left behind. Meanwhile, you stringing this other dude along, he in the background, and you ain't even checking for him. And when he's around, when you with him, you talking about this other dude. Like, he should have mind up and been like, go call it. Just
I
go call
know. Bye. But I mean, shoot, you never know. He probably could have been gone to the Japanese majors. You know what I'm saying? If she would have saw that in him, but now she trying to she trying to parasite her way on to somebody else's purpose and whatnot.
it. Yeah, like, come on, son. But yeah, Wataru is a good. He was cool. He was a good. He helped to support him in his own way, in a brotherly way. And homegirl, if she had listened to what her sister was telling her, you know what the deal is, but you in the night, but you being in the night is gonna get someone hurt. So do what needs to be done. Do it righteously. And she's like, I'm just gonna stay in the night.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think that's all I'm gonna say about it. Like I said, we could talk about this for days.
I know, bro. I know.
I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a good show. good music. You know, if you like classical music, there's a lot of good pieces in there. It got me deeper into classical as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
So,
Uh,
but
yeah, man.
well,
That's it. That's it.
ne- okay. Next strong, we gonna do Ender's Game. You know what I'm talking about? Um, which is gonna be interesting. We're gonna get into a little bit of child soldiering, you know what I'm talking about, and a little bit of psyops and things like that, and gaming in a sense, you know, within this game. So that's next strong, you know. And we got Shaman New, you know what I'm saying. We still on economics, you know what I'm talking about, and shoot, I mean, give thanks for everybody that came out and enjoyed the build, you know what I'm talking about. It's always a pleasure when we doing it, you know what I'm talking about, and we look, and we gonna get to it with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you know.
Yeah,
That's the
man.
next upcoming one, you know. So we gonna get into alchemy, you know what I'm saying, and and different laws and whatnot when it comes to that, man. It's gonna be fun because I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You told me that before. Yeah, man.
All my friends love that show, but I didn't watch it.
I think every anime watcher has like one of those staple shows that everybody think you're supposed to know, but you don't. You ain't never
Bleach,
watched it.
Bleach,
Yeah, I never watched it either.
never watched
Too
Bleach.
long. Too long. Too much bleach.
Yeah, it's like I ain't never watched Bleach, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's One Piece, Naruto, maybe Naruto. I might get into that, but those two they too long. One Piece, like they got like a world record for how long that show is.
it's the anime. Full Alchemist Brotherhood is the anime. Actually, Full Metal, because there's Full Metal Alchemist, and then there's Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. You know,
Yeah,
so
they
make sure
also
you watch the
live action.
Brotherhood one anime because the Full Metal Alchemist one is not as good as Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Basically, the Brotherhood is the remake to Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
Brother like, is more true to the manga because what happens with anime and manga is anime is like the visual adaptation, like the animated adaptation of manga. But sometimes the anime catches up with the manga before all of the chapters come out. So like they have filler episodes where they have a bunch of stuff that's like original for the anime while they're waiting for the manga to get ahead. But sometimes you got a long hiatus, which happened with Full Metal Alchemist, and they just finished it. Like it's like, all right, just wrap it up. You know, like so they had like a whole different story going on, separate from the actual manga. And then when Brotherhood came out, it was like after the manga was finished. So that's the actual story, you know, as opposed to just Full Metal Alchemist. So yeah, get the Brotherhood. Like that's like sometimes when you see certain shows like Dragon Ball Z, like the um
can't answer it
oh yeah,
because
I just saw it show up. Does this version give us the history behind the actual events that led to it? Yes, it does. Like first episode, you good. They got you. First or second episode, they got you. And it made it make sense because I saw the show one time when I was like, I don't know, 14, 13. I didn't see the show. I just woke up at midnight and, you know, you wake up early in the dawn and Cartoon Network is on and you see anime. And I just saw this robot and it sounded like a little girl. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And I turned off the TV. You know, it wasn't until later that I actually realized, oh, okay, that is actually something else that I will not spoil. Um, but it's real good. It's a real good show. I definitely say Brotherhood. Watch Brotherhood. You know, get the right one. Um,
exactly.
there's another aspect of it. Thinking about that segment, there's another aspect of Your Lion April with Kaori, which was she wanted to be remembered, and she wanted to be remembered, and she had this prayer that she would say before she played Elohim Esaim, Elohim Esaim, and it's almost like a chant that I think people, according to what I read about it, it's like a chant that people would do for good luck. Um, I don't know if it is limited to Japan, but I found it interesting that they would implore the Elohim, to assist them in what they were doing, or to support them, or to give them strength. That was just an interesting piece that I thought was added to her character. Yeah, but I'm done. Close,
For
close.
sure. For sure. All right, all right, all right. So give thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night, and me and Master Antonio, we go, oh, pretty Tony 88, you know what I'm talking about. we go get on out of here. So peace everybody.
Peace, everybody. Shema Anu tomorrow. We'll see you then.